like providing plastic mats to prevent children from wet ground and dampness, as well as providing 10 reverse osmosis plants with a capacity of 20,000 gallons per day. We hear vivid description of the tragedy that the people go through. But if you imagine children without having a newspaper to sleep on, the Secretary General of the United Nations of the help they need. The recent visits included signing ceremony with the chief of the rescue team to give financial support. Because of our field visits to Pakistan, and after listening to Pakistani environmental experts, we do not doubt that the increase of pollution in the world has a serious negative impact on the environment, and hence natural calamities like the major destructive floods in Pakistan. But climate issue should not distract us from giving generously to the Pakistan rescue, reconstruction, relief funds. Finally, please allow me to say something that was in my heart since childhood. Pakistan Zindabad. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I now hand the baton to my co-chair.
Thank you so much, Minister. It is my pleasure to now invite His Excellency Mr. Abdul Mohsen Majid bin Khotaila, the new permanent representative of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, to address us.
Thank you very much indeed, Chair, Prime Minister, Secretary General of the United Nations, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. May God bless you all. King Al Saud and the Prime Minister of Saudi Arabia have requested that I participate in this conference to represent them and to say that we stand in solidarity with the people of Pakistan, the brother people, following the disaster which has caused human life and devastating infrastructure loss as well. We urge the international community to contribute to rebuild the affected areas in Pakistan. Saudi Arabia stands close to the people and government of Pakistan, and this since the beginning of this disaster, in the light of the fraternal links connecting our two people and our two governments, and this at all levels and in all aspects. Saudi Arabia is undertaking efforts in the humanitarian sphere and has, through its Centre of King Salman, has put in place an air bridge to bring assistance that is urgently needed. We've also sent convoys, and we have also sent assistance to the people of Pakistan. 153 million riyal have been dispersed in terms of humanitarian assistance. This all demonstrates our attachment to providing humanitarian assistance and to reducing the suffering of the people of Pakistan who've been so deeply affected. Saudi Arabia has long supported Pakistan in the development arena, this through various projects, and we have thus offered $3 billion to the Central Pakistani Bank, and there are other development projects that have been rolled out. Moreover, the King of Saudi Arabia has decided to invest $1 billion in Pakistan, and this reaffirms our attachment to the economic development of Pakistan and of its people. Ladies and gentlemen, the efforts deployed by Saudi Arabia are not limited to just the people and the government. We are going much further. We have humanitarian and development projects that are being deployed and rolled out, and we also have campaigns to provide medical assistance. Thus, we have specialists in very particular areas volunteering to provide assistance. These voluntary campaigns are greatly appreciated and have a deep impact on the people of Pakistan and of Saudi Arabia as well. Ladies and gentlemen, this humanitarian disaster has shown that disasters linked to climate change are disasters which affect developing countries which are not responsible for them. This is why countries must assume their responsibilities according to the principles, mechanisms and commitments that have been made under the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change and as part of the Paris Agreement. We believe that proposals on climate change, all proposals on climate change, must be dealt with within the framework of the two instruments that I've just mentioned. By way of conclusion, let me say once again that we stand in solidarity with the people of Pakistan, the affected people, and we present our condolences to them. We do hope that the government of Pakistan and the people, the brotherly people of Pakistan, will be able to rebuild back from this disaster and will live in prosperity and development in the future. Thank you very much indeed for your attention.
I thank the permanent representative of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, and if I may remind our dear colleagues to what the minister laid out, and I will try and encourage you a little bit more because we still have over 20 speakers and in theory 20 minutes to please condense your presentations. We will obviously also welcome speeches that are put on record and try and see that we do not, at the end of the day, leave either those who wish to address this meeting without the opportunity to do so, or the next session, which is also a very important one, to run out of time. So it is now my pleasure to invite His Excellency Mr. Elnur Israfil Oglumamadov, Deputy Foreign Minister of Azerbaijan. I understand that his contribution will be through the video.
Thank you, Chair. Excellencies, Foreign Minister Butta Zardari, ladies and gentlemen. Today's conference deserves all praises. We highly appreciate the assistance and contributions of the international community and international organizations in the common rehabilitation efforts for Brazil, Pakistan, which reflect the spirit of international solidarity. Many of the extreme weather events linked to global warming aren't selective with regards to nations' income or GDP. We have witnessed this with deadly floods in Europe, record-breaking floods in China, and a combination of extreme winter temperatures and hurricanes in the United States. Yet higher-income countries generally have more resources to deal with the unavoidable impacts of climate change. Pakistan is among the top countries that are most affected by climate change, partly due to rapid deforestation. With less cover, the country is among those whose temperature is expected to rise higher than global average in the next 3 decades. The country already has one of the highest rates of water stress and scarcity in the world. All of this could increase, having the greatest impact on the most vulnerable Pakistanis, in particular those who rely on agriculture for their survival. We were shocked last summer with the devastating effects of the unprecedented floods that have resulted in significant loss of lives, damages to properties, displacement of residents, and the loss of livelihoods. Since the establishment of diplomatic relations with Pakistan, Azerbaijan has attached great importance to multifaceted cooperation with this country, both on a bilateral and international level. Looking back at the 30-year history of our relations, we see that our fraternity has successfully stood the test of time. We continue to expand our rich cooperation in the fields of energy, tourism, transport, information and communication technologies. We have recently accepted importers of Pakistani rice from custom duties for the next 5 years to boost our bilateral trade. Direct flights have been launched between Islamabad, Lahore, Karachi, and Baku. And in order to facilitate trade and investment, the Pakistan-Azerbaijan Chamber of Economic Cooperation was established in 2021. Azerbaijan and Pakistan have an invaluable tradition of supporting each other through the vicissitudes of time. We have been always sensitive to the humanitarian crisis that previously occurred in Pakistan. Azerbaijan has always been among the first countries that raised its helping hand to Pakistan. Since 2010, Azerbaijan has donated approximately $7 million to Pakistan towards eliminating the consequences of the floods happened in various years and building back better. With this aim, and as a sign of true friendship between our countries, we donated $2 million last August in response to the most recent worst natural disaster in the history of this country. It is also pertinent to mention that as a chairman of the non-aligned movement, Azerbaijan is actively involved in the fight against challenges. During the COVID-19 pandemic, we have provided financial and humanitarian support to more than 80 countries, including $1 million USD to Pakistan, to support the global fight against pandemic. We also initiated, with the overwhelming support of the UN member states, the adoption of a resolution by the UNGA on ensuring equal, affordable, timely, and universal access to vaccines against COVID-19. We hope that today's initiative will be able to further galvanize support and mobilize resources of the international community for tackling the most adverse consequences of this natural disaster and help to those in need. Last but not least, I would like to bring to the attention of the conference participants that upon the instruction of His Excellency President Aliyev, the government of Azerbaijan pledges additional $2 million United States dollars to support the rehabilitation efforts of Brazil, Pakistan. I thank you for your attention.
I thank the Deputy Foreign Minister for his comments and also announcements, and have the pleasure of inviting His Excellency Mr. Gian Lorenzo Cornado, Ambassador and Permanent Representative of Italy to the UN in Geneva.
Secretary General, Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. Minister, thank you for convening this important conference. We share the serious concerns for the situation in Pakistan and for the fate of the Pakistani people. It is vital to intervene promptly to alleviate the people's suffering after such devastating disaster, but humanitarian funds are not sufficient. Moreover, last summer's unprecedented weather events and subsequent severe damages in Pakistan highlighted once more the urgent need to tackle climate change consequences. Italy is aware of the urge to respond adequately to the humanitarian needs in the country and of the necessity of longer-term structural responses as well. With this aim, Italy and Pakistan have developed a solid relationship based on mutual respect and fruitful cooperation for more than 40 years. Over the decades, Italy contributed to address the challenge of poverty reduction in the country, especially focusing on rural development, health, and environmental sustainability. We must preserve the progress made in the area of disaster risk management following the 2010 floods by investing in the recovery, rehabilitation, and reconstruction of the country, making it more resilient for future challenges. Mr. Secretary General, Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. Minister, Italy's solidarity with Pakistan reflects the deep ties of friendship between Rome and Islamabad. Our bilateral cooperation spans over a variety of sectors, with mutual benefits of our economies and societies. The vast Pakistani community in Italy also plays a fundamental role, acting as a further bridge between our countries. Italy and Pakistan enjoy a long-standing cooperation in all multilateral fora, all the more significant in light of the increasingly volatile international scenario. Italy attaches great importance to our mutual support within the Organization of the United Nations, especially within the United for Consensus Group. Italy will keep supporting Pakistan also in the coming years. The next ones will be crucial for the future of the country and its people, and will spare no efforts to help Pakistan to build back better, reducing the likelihood of these catastrophes and their devastating consequences, and, where possible, generating future growth opportunities. Mr. Secretary General, Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. Minister, Italy welcomes the adoption of the Reconstruction, Rehabilitation, Recovery and Resilience Framework, a tool that will significantly help the coordination and effective action of all the actors involved in Pakistan's relaunch. In particular, we especially appreciated the outcome-based approach and the individuation of the recovery needs to achieve the 4 strategic recovery objectives. Italy has always supported Pakistan in its effort to become a more sustainable, resilient and prosperous country. After the 2010 floods, we contributed to its reconstruction with a concessional loan of around €57 million. Recently, the agreement for a second concessional loan of €20.5 million in the sustainable agricultural sector just entered into force, and its implementation will soon follow. Moreover, we are now planning to allocate additional resources to Pakistan for a total amount of €23 million in grants and concessional loans. In particular, consistently with Strategic Recovery Objectives number 2 and 3 of the 4RF, we will propose a project aimed at the preservation of cultural and natural heritage in Sindh, consisting of a grant of €3 million. Additionally, we propose a concessional loan of €20 million to fund a project in the agricultural sector in close coordination with the other Italian projects already under implementation in the same sector. Mr. Secretary General, Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. Minister, let me reaffirm Italy's enduring commitment to play an active role in supporting the Pakistani people to face such a demanding challenge. Thank you for your attention.
I thank His Excellency the Ambassador and Permanent Representative of Italy to the UN in Geneva and invite Her Excellency Ms. Tina Moyes-Smith, Ambassador and Permanent Representative of the Kingdom of Norway to the UN in Geneva.
Thank you. As stated by our Prime Minister, I want to thank Prime Minister Sharif and Secretary General Guterres for hosting this important conference. The flood catastrophe in Pakistan has had terrible consequences for the Pakistani people. The tally of losses is staggering and laid out in stark detail in the 4R framework. Norway, together with other donor countries, responded early as the flood took hold last year. We have worked with our partner organizations to respond in ways that alleviate immediate needs and address long-term needs for food security. The immediate needs of many are still considerable. At the same time, we would like to underscore that the importance of the nexus between humanitarian assistance and long-term development support. Flexibility and good coordination in planning and implementation will be key. Today, we pledge an additional 65 million Norwegian kroner for relief, food security and climate adaptation efforts in Pakistan. The Norwegian contribution comes in addition to the substantial and non- and light earmark contributions we provide to UN organizations operating in Pakistan. We commend the government of Pakistan for rapidly conducting a large-scale needs assessment and for presenting the findings to us here today. We will maintain our support to Pakistan in the period ahead, and we look forward to the discussion today on the broader needs resulting from the flood catastrophe last year. I thank you.
I thank the distinguished representative of the Kingdom of Norway. Let me just say, as the head of a UN agency, the core funding, the unrestricted financing that you just referred to, Ambassador, is the very essence of often being able to react within 24 hours to precisely the kinds of emergencies that are here. So let me simply thank all those of you in the room who are core funders of the United Nations family, because this is part of the capacity to respond. I now have the pleasure of inviting Her Excellency Ms. Anna Hjärtfeldt, the Ambassador and Permanent Representative of Sweden to the UN in Geneva.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the floods of August 2022 led to a devastation beyond belief. The loss of lives, the displacement of people, and the damage caused by the flash floods were indeed massive. Pakistan now faces the difficult task of rebuilding the areas devastated by floods. The government of Pakistan has in a commendable way made every effort to respond to the emergency, while also setting out a clear framework for the difficult task of rebuilding and rehabilitating. Sweden remains committed to support the affected communities in this situation. While we have gathered today to mobilize support for reconstruction, we must not lose sight of the ongoing and immediate humanitarian needs still faced by many people in Pakistan today. We have not yet moved out of the emergency phase. Sweden acted early and resolutely and contributed financial support to the humanitarian response already in August. We added further contributions towards the end of the year and have so far contributed $7.5 million to the flood response. Sweden is committed to do more, and we plan to make an additional contribution of 80 million Swedish kroner, which is $7.5 million through selected humanitarian partners in the coming weeks. Sweden is also proud to be a top donor of flexible funding to the UN system, which allowed humanitarian agencies in Pakistan to quickly adapt and step up life-saving support for the people affected by the floods. Humanitarian action, however, is designed to complement and support states who have the primary responsibility to protect and assist persons in their territories who are affected by disasters. It is clear that the floods we are witnessing in Pakistan are a climate-driven disaster that we need to learn from. We need to better plan and adapt to the likelihood that climate change will exacerbate this type of extreme weather. We need to build resilience to future shocks and invest in anticipatory action. Rebuilding and restoring infrastructure, health and education and other essential public services in a climate-resilient manner will require more from all of us. Business as usual is not an option. Global climate finance must be scaled up. Sweden plays its part as a leading donor of climate finance and will continue to do so. Our assistance must be truly catalytical, mobilizing private capital to enable large-scale investments and create new green markets. Innovation and new technologies should be harnessed. The Swedish government will explore how the Swedish private sector can contribute with their knowledge and expertise in providing solutions for more resilient communities and help reduce the vulnerability of affected populations. The difficult task of rebuilding the areas struck by floods will take time. It is crucial that we, as the international community, can find ways to support the people of Pakistan in its efforts to build back better. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your statement. We now request the ambassador and permanent representative of Denmark to the UN in Geneva to make their statement.
Very much, and let me just say all protocols observed and then move on. And let me start by expressing Denmark's sincere sympathy with the people and the government of Pakistan for the suffering due to the devastating floods in 2022. Having seen the pictures and also the movie we saw this morning, I think it's difficult for anyone not to be sort of emotionally affected by the sheer size. It's just unimaginable. We fully recognize that the situation in Pakistan is still difficult. Some parts of the flood-affected areas are underwater as we speak. There are continued humanitarian needs, and the need for rehabilitation and reconstruction is massive. The needs assessment and the 4RF are very useful for the continued dialogue and engagement on what lies ahead. A lot has happened, much more needs to be done. We fully support the overall aim of all efforts having the affected population as the starting point, and that all initiatives should contribute to a climate-resilient rehabilitation and reconstruction. Pakistan could show the way for others if this is done the right way. And let me just quickly dwell on 4 ways in which Denmark contributes. And in time, they cover long-term transition, medium-term efforts, but also immediate needs. First, and this is related to the long-term transition on energy, Denmark has committed extra funds to the existing government-to-government cooperation for a green energy transition in Pakistan. This program aims to assist Pakistan in the implementation of its very ambitious alternative and renewable energy policy, focuses on improving energy planning and integration of more renewable energy in the energy mix, and to enhance the regulatory framework for renewable energy. This support will contribute to building a sustainable and climate-resilient Pakistan. Secondly, recently, we have entered into a new green framework engagement between our two countries. We look forward to cooperating even more closely with Pakistan in the years to come in this field. The engagement between our countries is a novelty, and I think we've tried it with other countries that have actually managed to benefit the same way as we have as Denmark of such a framework. The same goes for the bilateral agreement that we have for Danish financing of sustainable infrastructure in Pakistan, where various investment projects are under development. And then thirdly, on prevention and resilience, Denmark supports the Global Shield that works to strengthening the resilience to climate and disaster risk in climate-vulnerable countries such as Pakistan through insurance mechanisms. Last year at the UNGA, we were pleased to announce the contribution of $5 million to Global Shield. In close collaboration with Germany, our funding will go to 7 Pathfinder countries, including Pakistan. Pakistan is thus on the forefront of building resilience via this new tool. And then fourth and last, and this is on the immediate needs, and I know we focus on longer term today, but I still, one should not forget that there are immense immediate humanitarian needs for many people. A lot has been said already on flexible funding. I will just add that we also responded quickly. Partners were able to respond quickly because we have a lot of flexible funding tools. If you're interested, read the written statement that we have. And then finally, I would like to say that the Danish government, we just have a new government, they have decided to contribute with an additional 27 million in on-earmarked funding for UNICEF work in Pakistan today. We heard this morning that about half of the still affected people in Pakistan are children. So this money goes into supporting children that are in dire need after the floods. This contribution will allow UNICEF support to the government in the response to significant humanitarian needs, particularly providing health, nutrition, education, child protection, but also hopefully avoid gender-based violence. The people and the government of Pakistan are challenged. There's no doubt about that. You should also rest assured that you are not alone. We are here to work with you in the years to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now I request the Ambassador and Permanent Representative of the Islamic Republic of Iran to the UN in Geneva to make their statement.
Thank you. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. His Excellency Bilawal Bhutto Zardari, Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the people and government of the Islamic Republic of Iran, I would like to express our full solidarity with and support for the government and people of Pakistan. We commend the efforts of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan in mobilizing the domestic and international resources in the wake of the June 2022 devastating floods to ensure timely, adequate, effective, coherent, and coordinated humanitarian relief for the affected people. The government's effective cooperation with relevant United Nations system agencies, donor countries, regional and international financial institutions, relevant international organizations and civil society, as well as national and local relief organizations, in coordinating and delivering emergency relief is admirable. As a neighboring country, the Islamic Republic of Iran pledges to continue to provide humanitarian assistance in the most needed areas. Immediately after the flooding occurred, Iran provided humanitarian support and assistance to Pakistan, showing the profound friendship between the Iranian and Pakistani governments and people. We pledge to support Pakistan during the recovery and rehabilitation by contribution in kind in energy sector, namely by providing LPG. The Islamic Republic of Iran stands with the people of Pakistan affected by the severe flooding. We are deeply saddened by the massive scope of the disaster. The loss of loved ones, livelihoods, homes, hospitals, and critical infrastructure throughout Pakistan is tragic. In conclusion, let me refer to remarks of the United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres during the United Nations General Assembly, who stated that the people of Pakistan are the victims of a grim calculus of climate injustice. The country is responsible for less than 1% of global greenhouse gas emissions, yet it is paying a supersized price for human-caused climate change. As no nation can single-handedly deal with these kinds of large-scale challenges, the United Nations has a critical role in ensuring necessary coordination, delivering emergency humanitarian aid, and helping each member state better prepare for similar events in the future by strengthening resilience. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I now request the Director General of the Food and Agricultural Organization to make his remarks.
Thank you, Ministers, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I start saying on behalf of Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations to salute and commend the leadership provided by the government of Pakistan for the coordinated and the rapid response to the devastating flood in the country. We are always with the vulnerables who are suffering from the disasters. And in the development of the resilient recovery, rehabilitation, and reconstruction frameworks, it's timely, urgently, and strategically needed. FAO, we are always with you, try our best, provide technical assistance as much as we can. So far, FAO have a largest country operational of programs in the world is in Pakistan. Pakistan is among the top 10 countries most affected by the climate crisis. Prior to the last year's flood, Pakistan had already experienced the devastating floods in 2010. Once again, recent flood had a particularly destructive impact on the agricultural sector and on the smallholder farmers who rely on agriculture for their livelihood. Over 80% of this will be absorbed, all these devastating losses, by the crop subsector, which means that food production will be compromised in the immediate future without substantial support to the sector. According to the latest Integrated Food Security Phase Classification IPC analysis leading by the FAO, almost 9 million people faced high acute food insecurity between September and December 2022 in the flood-affected areas. Dear colleagues, FAO will continue to provide support to the government of Pakistan for immediate response to the long-term recovery and the resilient buildings. FAO has called for the protection of livestock asset, the last remaining asset for many affected families, as well as for agent support to the farmers to secure the Rabi planting season. To date, FAO has mobilized over $25 million and provided over 600,000 affected people with seeds and fertilizers on time. We have a complete livestock vaccination campaign in the Balochistan province and are finalizing vaccination in Sindh. And shortly, we will start with livestock feed distribution. Effort has led the preparation of the agricultural, fishery, and the livestock sector for the post-disease and disaster need assessment, and contributed to the developing livestock component of the 4R framework. We also provide technical leadership for the Living Indus initiative and have been implementing large-scale programs to enhance sustainable agricultural water use and build climate-resilient agri-food systems. Dear colleagues, we need to continue work together to transform Pakistan agri-food system to be more efficient, more inclusive, more resilient, and more sustainable. To ensure food security and well-being, we must ensure better production, better nutrition, a better environment, and better life for all. The 4 betters that are the core of the FAO strategy framework for next decade. In Pakistan, we will require massive and sustained investment in climate change, adaptation, and resilience, especially within agri-food sectors. And the 4R frameworks, at least $4 billion we estimate are urgently needed to facilitate the immediate recovery of agricultural sectors and to lay foundation for lasting resilience. FAO will continue to provide technical, financial support, inclusive partnership with the government, UN agencies, and other donors, other financial institutions, NGOs, through the hand-in-hand initiatives. And for that, we welcome the Pakistan partners and government to participate in the World Food Forum in the coming October, the week of World Food Day, and to promote your masterpiece of investment plan in the multiple platforms together. I wish dear brothers and sisters in Pakistan recovery better, stronger, and harmonized. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your statement. I must request speakers to significantly shorten their speeches. We have about 10 speakers left, and we are already 15 minutes into the next session, and our representatives from the 4 provinces are patiently waiting their turn. I now request the UN High Commissioner for Refugees to make their brief statement.
Thank you, Minister, for the opportunities to speak. I'll make 4 quick points. First, and this has been highlighted by many, the climate emergency, it's clear from this debate, is not an abstract concept to be dealt with in the future, but now. The calamity that struck Pakistan, is an example of how it is the most vulnerable who are suffering the most from this emergency around the world, not only in Pakistan. But this will only increase if greater and more urgent action is not taken to prevent climate-driven events and also ensure financial support for loss and damage. My second point, and my main reason for speaking today, is to underline to all present the importance of solidarity with Pakistan and with the Pakistani people, who have, from our UNHCR perspective, demonstrated enormous solidarity with refugees, Afghan refugees, over not just years, but generations. Millions of Afghans, uprooted by violence, war, persecution, human rights abuses, and yes, in some cases, the climate emergency, have sought protection and assistance in Pakistan. We must not forget that Pakistanis have demonstrated extraordinary solidarity with others for all these years, and we must also reciprocate as they respond to the tragedies caused by the floods. Third, and further to that point, I want to highlight that despite the devastation, Pakistan did not forget the refugees when it came to the flood response. While we supported the government-led response, it was the government that led and ensured that refugees were also helped. Moving forward, it is critical that this focus on the most vulnerable continues. That is especially the case for the tens of millions of Pakistanis affected by the floods, but also some 800,000 flood-affected Afghan refugees who remain vulnerable. I appeal to the international community to ensure that Pakistan has the resources necessary to continue to address needs of flood-affected population, including refugees, including helping them with mitigating and adapting to climate-induced risks. This leads me to my final point. There are already more than 103 million people forcibly displaced in the world today. And so long as political leaders fail to make peace, to end human rights abuses, to reverse the relentless but preventable attack on our planet, this number will grow. In light of this, it is imperative that the international community remains steadfast in its support not only to the displaced, but, just like in Pakistan, also the countries and communities that bear the lion's share of the international community's collective responsibility to protect and assist them. Today's conference and your generous support to Pakistan's recovery plans is another way you can do this. And I encourage all donors with the means to please support the government of people of Pakistan as they recover and rebuild their country. UNHCR will continue to provide all support possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'd now like to call in the ambassador and permanent representative of the Republic of Korea to make their short statement.
Thank you, Chair. I would first like to join the other delegations in sincerely appreciating the Pakistani government and the United Nations for organizing this conference where the international community has gathered to reaffirm its solidarity toward an important humanitarian issue, climate resilience. The devastation caused by the floods in Pakistan has shown the widespread influence that climate extremes can have on the present and future of the humanity. In order to overcome the climate crisis, a comprehensive approach which strengthens not only disaster recovery but also climate resilience is a prerequisite. In this regard, my government believes that Pakistan's 4RF policy framework has appropriately set the basic principles and direction for strengthening climate resilience from a long-term perspective. During the 77th UN General Assembly last September, my president declared to the international community that the Republic of Korea will expand climate change-related green ODA and make efforts to share innovative green technology. The ODA strategy of our government, in fact, focuses on actively responding to global issues such as climate change and contributing to building the recipient countries' foundation for socio-economic development. At the recent Sharm el-Sheikh Climate Change Conference, our government representatives emphasized expanding green ODA and supporting the green transition of developing countries by sharing climate technology and supporting organizations such as Green Climate Fund, Global Green Growth Institute, and Climate Technology Center and Network. Through this international conference on climate resilient Pakistan, we expect that further comprehensive and systematic support will be made possible through the facilitation of dialogue and mutual cooperation among donor countries and relevant partners. My government hopes to actively work with the government of Pakistan and the United Nations, as well as other participating countries and international organizations. At the time of last year's flood in Pakistan, my government has promptly provided $2 million in humanitarian assistance, and we plan to provide additional support in the future. Furthermore, in the context of Pakistan's building back better from flood damages, this year, the development project for Sindh, KP, Balochistan, and Punjab, which are the hardest hit areas, amount to approximately 48 billion US dollars are now under consideration according to our domestic procedure. These projects are related to infrastructure, health, and education, and we plan to review their expansion based on the 4RF. We hope that our ODA project will contribute to reinforcing the basic system of Pakistan's reconstruction, such as water supply, energy, and IT industrial complexes, and to enhancing the quality of life of the Pakistani people. Mr. Chair, my government will work together with the international community for the successful achievement of Pakistan's 4RF. And we look forward to these endeavors being established as an example of advanced cooperation for global climate crisis response at the international level. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your statement. I now call on the Ambassador and Permanent Representative of Egypt to make their short statement.
His Excellency Minister Bilwal Zardari, Foreign Minister of Pakistan, Mr. Akim Steiner, UNDP administrators, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Egyptian government, I would like to reiterate our solidarity, support, and deepest sympathy to the government and people of Pakistan for the life and economic losses and damages they faced due to the unprecedented and sorrowful climate-induced disaster last summer. Egypt has expressed its support to Pakistan at the highest political level. During His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi called to His Excellency Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif to express our deep and heartfelt condolences on the tragic loss of life caused by the floods, and to announce the allocation of humanitarian assistance to contribute to alleviating the repercussions of the crisis on our brothers and sisters in Pakistan. We stand ready to assist Pakistan, a country with which we share a long-standing historical friendship, to help achieve a resilient recovery, reconstruction and rehabilitation. Last November, Egypt hosted COP27, and after 30 years of negotiations, countries agreed.
पर होता तो इतना जतन करने की ज़रूरत ही कोई नहीं थी. एक दिन अजलास बुलाते और अपना नंबर जो है वो पूरा दिखा देते, मामला जो है वो सुलझ जाता. आज उन्होंने एक तवील लेजिस्लेशन की है, और जो बिल उन्होंने लेजिस्लेट किए हैं, मैं वहाँ पे बैठ के सुन रहा था, कोई 2-2 साल पुराने, 2.5 साल पुराने. मकसद सिर्फ ये था कि इस दौरान ये कोशिश करते रहे कि इनका नंबर जो है वो पूरा हो जाए, और इनका नंबर जब पूरा नहीं हुआ तो फिर उसके बाद अजलास को कल पे जो है इन्होंने अर्जन किया है. एक तरफ इमरान खान साहब 11 तारीख से पहले वोट ऑफ कॉन्फिडेंस लेने पे बज़िद हैं, दूसरी तरफ चौधरी परवेज़ इलाही साहब जो है वो गुरेज़ा हैं, वो समझते हैं कि मेरे पास नंबर पूरा नहीं है. कल ये दोबारा कोशिश करेंगे कि अपना नंबर यह है पूरा करें. इनके पास 186 का नंबर नहीं है, ये इस वक्त 175, 174 के राउंड अबाउट हैं. अगर सभी आ जाएं, जो कि आज वो भी नहीं कर सके, आज ये 174 और 5 का फिगर भी जो है ये अचीव नहीं कर सके, जबकि हमारे पास इस वक्त इनके मुकाबले में अल्लाह के फजल से हमारे पास अक्सरीती नंबर है. हमारे आज भी 179 मेंबर जो है वो पूरे थे. आज हमारी हाज़िरी पूरी थी, उसको हमने वेरीफाई भी किया और उसको हमने जो है वो साबित भी किया, और हो सकता है कि ये हाज़िरी जो है वो कल तक 180 हो जाए, कि एक मेंबर जो हमसे अलहदा हुए हैं वो दोबारा हमारे पास आ जाएं. तो इस तरह से इस वक्त 180 और 174 और 75 की बात है, और इनके पास जो है वो नंबर नहीं है. कल ये दोबारा कोशिश करेंगे अजलास बुला के कि कोई दाव लगाने की, लेकिन इंशाअल्लाह ताला इनका दाव नहीं लगेगा. चौधरी परवेज़ इलाही जो है वो अब चीफ मिनिस्टर नहीं हैं इस सूबा के, वो गलत तौर पे मुसल्लत हैं. मैं उनसे मुतालबा करता हूँ कि वो मुस्तफ़ी हों, وہ اب ووٹ آف کانفیڈنس لینے کی کوشش اور اسمبلی توڑنے کی کوشش کرنے کی بجائے میرا یہ مطالبہ ہے کہ آپ استعفیٰ دیں اور اس ہاؤس کو دوبارہ جو موقع دیں کہ وہ ایک نیو چیف منسٹر جو ہے اس کو الیکٹ کرے، وہ اکثریت سے کرے یا رن آف الیکشن میں کرے، جو کہ آئینی طریقہ کار ہے، لیکن اس ہاؤس کو موقع ملنا چاہیے کہ وہ ہاؤس جو ہے وہ ایک نیا اپنا پارلیمانی لیڈر جو ہے وہ منتخب کرے۔ اور میں یہ بات واضح کر دوں، آج بھی مجھ سے کئی دوستوں نے اور صحافیوں نے پوچھا ہے، پاکستان مسلم لیگ نون کا ہی جو ہے وہ ہمارا لیڈر جو ہے وہ ہمارا نیو چیف منسٹر کا امیدوار ہوگا، اور پاکستان مسلم لیگ نون کے پارلیمانی لیڈر جو ہیں حمزہ شہباز صاحب، وہی ہمارے جو ہے وہ امیدوار ہوں گے، ہمارے پارلیمانی لیڈر ہیں وہ، کیونکہ اس موقع پہ اوپر جو اعتراض کیا جاتا ہے وہ اپنی جگہ پہ ہے، اور جب انشاءاللہ تعالی نیکسٹ الیکشن میں جب پارلیمانی پارٹی جو ہے وہ اکثریت ہم حاصل کر کے آئیں گے، لیڈرشپ جو ہے وہ بالکل ان تمام چیزوں کو مد نظر رکھ کے فیصلہ کرے گی۔ لیکن اس صورتحال میں، جس صورتحال میں اب گزر رہے ہیں، اس وقت میں لیڈر کو چینج کرنا جو ہے، کینڈیڈیٹ کو چینج کرنا جو ہے وہ نقصان دہ ہو سکتا ہے، تو اس لیے ہمارا پولیٹیکل ڈیسیجن جو ہے وہ یہی ہے، اور یہ انشاءاللہ تعالی اگلے ہفتہ 10 دن میں یہ ایکسرسائز جو ہے یہ مکمل ہوگی۔ ہائی کورٹ کا ہمیں بے پناہ احترام ہے، ہمارے وہ معزز ججز ہیں، لیکن معاملہ یہ ہے کہ آئین اور قانون کو ہر کوئی سمجھتا ہے۔ اس وقت ہائی کورٹ اس کے علاوہ کوئی اور فیصلہ جو ہے وہ آئین اور قانون کو مد نظر رکھ کے نہیں ہو سکتا کہ چودھری پرویز الہی کو کہا جائے کہ یہ ووٹ آف کانفیڈنس لے۔ اور میں یہ بھی یہاں پہ عرض کرتا چلوں کہ ووٹ آف کانفیڈنس کا جو اجلاس ہوگا وہ موجودہ اسپیکر کی زیر صدارت ہم اس کو کبھی ایکسیپٹ نہیں کریں گے۔ جو ووٹ آف کانفیڈنس کا اجلاس ہے، ہائی کورٹ اس بات کا اہتمام کرے کہ اس کی صدارت جو ہے کوئی پینل آف چیئرمین کا ایسا بندہ کرے جو نیوٹرل ہو، اور بلکہ کورٹ جو ہے وہ اپنا